These tales take you back to a lawless land.
They're coming down. Sure as God's vengeance, they're coming.
Frontier guns shoot first and ask questions later.
I ain't getting shot again for some cause I don't believe in.
Can't believe I'm sitting with none other than Jesse James.
And they live in a time where killers are legendary.
Jesse James, for a lot of people was this Robin Hood figure.
Frontier guns, on this episode of Books into Film.
There's gonna be 30, 40 more guns out there now.
Stories about frontier guns take us back to a time that has passed.
Guns, grit, frontier living, violence.
They present us with heroes and villains and usually a romantic love interest.
They speak to something that still exists in our hearts and our souls. The notion that there can be heroes and that individuals can rise above the crowd.
Taking to the 310 to Yuma day after tomorrow.
310 to Yuma is the story of a poor farmer paid to escort an outlaw to trial.
It's really the story of Dan Evans and how he recovers his self-respect. He's poor, his family is impoverished, he's in debt.
We will have Ben Wade convicted and hanged, and we will pay to make it happen.
I'll come.
Basically volunteers to put me on this train to Yuma prison in order to make money to keep his farm and his family going.
It's a really simple story about getting a bad guy from point A to point B before his other friends kill you.
The original short story was written by legendary crime author Elmore Leonard for Dime Western magazine in 1953.
I did research, Arizona, New Mexico, Apache Indians, cavalry in the 1880s. And, I got something going. And I wanted to be authentic in the kind of guns they used, and what they ate, the kind of coffee they drank, and so on.
He's very ironic, he's very sardonic, and he really tells unusual stories.
I would get up at 5 o'clock and work for 2 hours before going to work. And then I would take those pages to work with me and put them in the drawer. And then I would try and continue my writing with my arm, my lower arm, forearm in the drawer, writing without looking.
Columbia Pictures scooped up Leonard's frontier story shortly after it was published.
310 to Yuma was first turned into a film in 1957. It starred Glenn Ford and Van Heflin, and this really was the era of the golden era of the Westerns. It's when Westerns were made all the time and they were incredibly popular.
The movie sales were not big money sales. They were $5,000. But 310 to Yuma was one of them, and that one still appears on television.
Filmmakers remade the classic Western in 2007.
Yuma is a great story. And it would be a great story if it were modern, and it would be a great story if it were in the past. It'd be a great story if it took place with gladiators.
22 robberies, over $400,000 in losses.
Y'all notice he didn't mention any of the lives I've taken.
Russell Crowe plays the ruthless and complex Ben Wade.
I kind of took the attitude that he doesn't believe in a benevolent God.
Initially, Ben Wade comes across as a really bad guy. He's a ruthless killer. He will kill anyone who gets in his way.
Call him off.
Why should I?
Because you're not all bad.
Yes, I am.
Ben Wade, the great outlaw of this movie, is not entirely evil. He's a man of pride and integrity. He's got his own moral code.
I'm tired, Alice. I'm tired of watching my boys go hungry.
Christian Bale plays Dan Evans, a prairie farmer who is down on his luck.
Dan definitely is an idealist. He does not want to be corrupted by the corrupt society. He kind of definitely believes in do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Trouble is, it ain't working.
Dan Evans and his son William first see Ben Wade. They come upon a stagecoach robbery that Wade's gang is engaged in. The boy, William, who already has been surreptitiously reading these dime Western novels, is quite smitten. Here is a real outlaw.
Ben is just a different version of William's father. William's father doesn't seem to, achieve things, get things done, wield power, you know, and Ben seems to do those things even when he's got handcuffs on.
What are you doing out here, Dan? You got a family to protect.
Dan signs on to take Ben to the 310 train to Yuma. Along the way, the two men form an understanding.
On their journey to the 310 to Yuma, Ben Wade and Dan Evans actually develop a mutual respect for one another.
Initially, Ben Wade is motivated to escape, which is going to be a piece of cake, really. But as his sympathy for Evans grows, his motive becomes much more complex.
You're so sure that your crew's coming to get you? They're coming, Dan. Sure as God's vengeance, they're coming.
Ben Wade, the vicious outlaw, is trying to fight against his good nature, while Dan Evans, the nice rancher, is trying to fight against his bad nature.
Come on. Come on!
310 to Yuma is an examination of two men who use their frontier guns for different reasons.
There's no character who's a clean white hat hero, none who's a clean black hat villain. It's really a moral tale about human relationships.
I try to think of their humanity, what makes them what they are and what makes them different.
Very often, you know, in movies, Hollywood movies, it's presented that you do the right thing, you get the rewards. Everybody knows, you look around in life, okay, that happens sometimes, but an awful lot of the time you do the right thing and you lose everything.
Your old man walked Ben Wade to that station when nobody else would.
When we return, a war pushes a peaceful man into the frontier.
It's sad that most stories that are accurate in their portrayal of war often prove how pointless they are.
I thought I was seeing him fall. Instead, I was seeing him come back to me.
Cold Mountain is the story of a deserter who crosses the frontier to get back to the woman he loves.
W.P. Inman, who decides he's had quite enough of the Civil War, he's had quite enough of death and destruction and violence and brutality, and he's going home.
The message of Cold Mountain really is that war is hell.
It's sad that most stories that are accurate in their portrayal of war often prove how pointless they are, whether they're historical or present day.
The 1997 novel was Charles Frazier's first book.
He was inspired initially by a story that his father told him about his great-uncle Inman, who had been a deserter in the Civil War. Now, what his father told him was enough to fill up about a paragraph. So Frazier built this whole fictional account around the story of his uncle. So Cold Mountain is known as a work of historical fiction.
Frazier worked for a long time on the novel, 6 or 7 years, putting the story together, doing a lot of research on the Civil War, doing a lot of research on daily farm life in that region in North Carolina. He wanted to get the names of the farm implements and the kitchen utensils exactly right.
Cold Mountain made the New York Times bestseller list and caught the attention of director Anthony Minghella.
I think it's very important to begin with a novel you love. You know, there was an old adage in filmmaking, which is only bad books make good films. I passionately disbelieve that.
I'd read it many, many years ago when it first came out, and I was entranced by it. But I, of course, thought, how would you ever make this into a film? Because it's so sensory. And that's when you see Anthony Minghella's genius, because he stepped in then and took this magnificent novel and managed to translate it to screen.
Jude Law plays Inman, a peaceful man who was caught up in the bloody American Civil War.
He originates from Cold Mountain, where he works as a carpenter. He has a little bit of land. He lives a very simple life.
Inman, like most young men of that time, and like most young men down through the ages, because they're young, think war is a great adventure.
Inman is a very interesting character, sort of the strong, silent type. And I read some reviews that were very critical of Jude Law, that he was just too taciturn. Well, that's the character that he was given, and Charles Fraser loved him.
I found you this book to take with you.
Nicole Kidman plays Ada, a Southern belle who's left alone when Inman goes to war.
When we first meet Ada, she's a little bit of a delicate flower. She's this sort of Southern belle that really can't take care of herself.
As an actor, when you play a character that's been so beautifully rendered in a novel, you do have to say, well, there she is, she's mapped out, but now I have to make her breathe. I have to make her have a heart, and I have to make her exist in the world.
Old Lady Swanger says you need help. Here I am.
Ada is unable to fend for herself and befriends Ruby, a rough farmhand played by Renee Zellweger.
I love this girl. I love her. She's a survivor. She's been on her own, so she's had to learn how to care for herself.
The friendship between Ruby and Ada is unusual in the sense that they're two women. Usually the hired hand on a farm is a man, not a woman, but of course all the men are off to war.
Particularly with Renee and I, you see a female friendship that survives, that conquers, that grows from being something so, they're polar opposites, and they grow to teach each other.
These faints is about the first thing that I've ever done that might produce an actual result.
It's not like there's ever one moment where you see Ada, the Charleston girl, walk into one room and walk out as the Cold Mountain Highland girl that she becomes. It's a transformation that you almost fail to see until you realize that she's fulfilling this role on the farm, and you believe it.
So much time has passed since you left, and no word from you. Are you alive? I pray to God you are.
Inman faces scenes of terrible carnage on the battlefield.
It was one of the last battles. The Confederates dug in really strong to protect the Confederate capital of Richmond.
We filmed that piece of the movie, first stop. We took about 6 weeks to shoot it.
3, 2, 1.
It came from a very human point of view, and I think you'll notice certainly once that the characters are in the crater and you're in there with them, almost everything is from the perspective below the shoulder, as if people, or you yourself, are in amongst the men. You are in the chaos and in the slaughter.
I ain't getting shot again for some cause I don't believe in.
When Inman deserts the army, his troubles are only beginning.
It certainly is parallel to the Odyssey. A man goes away to war and then tries to find his way home. Now, it didn't take Inman 20 years to get back to his Penelope, but it did take him through a lot of challenges.
Any soldier turned deserter shall be hunted down like a dog.
Cold Mountain is a wonderful title for this film because it suggests something remote, something forbidding, something treacherous, something very cold, which reinforces all of the emotions in the film.
The 2003 film was nominated for 7 Oscars and 8 Golden Globes.
To receive 8 is just thrilling because it really feels like we've been recognized as the ensemble and the group effort that was put into this.
Jude Law was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor. Renee Zellweger was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actress, and she won.
Cold Mountain tests the power of love in a world where guns rule.
It's definitely a story about saying that there are things that are more important than misplaced and misguided loyalty and duty, that sometimes you have to decide enough is enough.
I think that this film is very relevant to now, you know, what it says about community, what it says about faith and belief in something, and fantasy versus reality.
Come back to me. Come back to Cold Mountain.
When we return, a most famous frontier gun.
Jesse James, for a lot of people was this Robin Hood figure.
Figure it out. Do you want to be like me? Or you want to be me?
Well, I'm just making fun of it all.
The assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford is about an infamous outlaw and the man who kills him.
It really deals with dismantling this myth of Jesse James and this myth of his assassin as a coward.
They're going to say, Jesse James is a hero. This guy must be a coward. He's a good guy, bad guy, make things black and white. And so the title is sort of a kind of black and white version of what happened, and the film is kind of a gray version of what happened.
Most Jesse James movies focus on the adventure aspect of this sort of romantic anti-hero. There's this Robin Hood figure of the Wild West. This movie actually tries to debunk those myths.
If you think Jesse James and the James Gang and his brother Frank were actually folk heroes, then you're sadly misguided, because they were thieves and robbers and killers.
Ron Hansen's 1983 novel was an uncompromising look at Jesse James. It sat on the shelf until Brad Pitt took an interest in 2004.
Working with Andrew Dominic, who's a director I got great respect for, and we'd been talking about something for a couple of years, and he came across this book that I found absolutely fascinating.
The title we were just stuck with, you know, it was the title of the book, and it's a real 19th century title, and you know, if you look at books from that era, they've got like you know, paragraph-long titles.
I love the title. It's this throwback to the period, but it also has this sense of doom to me.
Look at my red hands and my mean face. I wonder about that man that's gone so wrong.
In the 2007 film, Brad Pitt plays the tormented outlaw, Jesse James.
Brad Pitt is essentially the world's biggest celebrity, and what really appealed to him about this movie was its theme, that it's about the cult of celebrity.
It really details this mercurial character at the last year of his life, and how he's complicit in his own murder.
His gang had fallen apart. They were all either dead, arrested, or had gone away. He was in a paranoid state. Nothing particularly heroic about the Jesse James in this film.
Can't believe I'm sitting with none other than Jesse James.
Casey Affleck plays Robert Ford, a teenager obsessed with the outlaw he read about in dime novels.
He had this fantasy of Jesse James that bore no resemblance to the real Jesse James. You know, it didn't. So when he got near him, it was just, he was sort of overwhelmed by being in his presence and the difference between what he had in his mind and who this guy was. Many's the night I stayed up, my eyes open and my mouth open, just reading about your escapades.
They're all lies, you know.
He really looks up to Jesse James, and he wants to be a part of the Jesse James legend in any way he can. He tries to do this by joining Jesse James' gang, who he's got a little bit of an in with because his brother Charlie Ford is in the gang.
Why was your brother so agitated?
Which?
Bob. That's just his way. He's antsy.
Sam Rockwell was cast to play Robert's brother, Charlie Ford. At one point, Rockwell backed out, and Pitt personally tracked him down.
The last time he dropped out of the picture was like about a week, or actually, no, I think we'd already started shooting, and Brad got on a plane, flew to New York, went to his apartment and got him.
Tell us a story. You have blue eyes, I have blue eyes. You're 5 feet 8 inches tall, I'm 5 feet 8 inches tall.
Hey, something.
He sort of forgot who he was, you know, he forgot who Robert Ford was, and all he thought was he just wanted to be like this other person.
Jesse at first is amused by him, he's tolerant of him, he tolerates him, but eventually gets tired of him.
After James ditches him, Ford becomes increasingly resentful of the paranoid gunman.
First of all, you're dealing with a kid who suffered great humiliation from his point of view, and had hero worship, and in the James character had this idea that through that celebrity, that fame, that he would find validity. Then once he meets Jesse James and is spurned by him, you know, it becomes that thing that he has to destroy to become equal again.
He was not comfortable in his skin, you know. He was really confused, insecure, kind of angry, a little bit bitter. And ever since I can remember it, Jesse James has been as big as a tree.
After Ford kills James, he is seen as a hero, but eventually his courage is questioned.
Jesse James, you know, for a lot of people was this Robin Hood figure. So he, in Robert Ford's attempt at fame, he didn't realize how it would be perceived.
He was framed as a coward. In the story, it's essentially that he be a coward, because only a coward would shoot someone in the back.
The film uses wide static shots to capture the essence of the old frontier.
You know, we decided we needed these little pieces of the movie that are like, you know, little museum dioramas, and, you know, they're really evocative.
The director wanted everything black or dark, so the horses had to be black. He dyed all the actors' hair black. The buggies and wagons had to be black. Set decorating had to be black.
I would certainly describe it as stark and austere and quite beautiful.
The assassination of Jesse James was shot in the snowy Alberta foothills.
You can't have exposed skin, you know, when it gets really cold.
It was cold, but you kind of forget about it once you're doing the movie, and you know, you just bundle up, and as Andrew says, you kind of have to dress like an astronaut in the morning, and then you get out there.
You know what John Newman Edwards once wrote about me? He said I didn't trust 2 men in 10,000. Even them I was cautious around.
The assassination of Jesse James shows the corrosive nature of living life by the gun.
It's kind of like a tragedy, and tragedy is kind of based on the idea that, you know, the outcome is already known.
If you murder, if you steal, if you rob, if this is the way you make your living, you're probably going to come to a sticky end yourself.
You got me agitated now, you see? Yeah, it just ain't no peace when old Jess around.
Whether they're shooting it out, crossing the wilderness, or living up to a legend, stories of frontier guns live on.
It's an idea about the quest for freedom, for autonomy, freedom from government oppression, freedom from your own demons, land to breathe, space to move, dreams that you can fight for.
Frontier mentality still lives, even though the entire continent is paved from one end to the other.
If you have something to confess, you spit it out now.